Good morning and welcome to your Farm and Home Show. I'm Kristi Shive, and today we are back with Kayla Watts. She's an agent on special assignment for community recovery and resiliency. Kayla, it's National Preparedness Month, and today you are talking to us about making a home and family disaster plan. But first, Kayla, can you talk to us about what these different alerts and warnings mean?
Yes, absolutely. So in the previous segment, we talked about ways to receive alerts and warnings. A watch is simply the best way I describe it is you're watching for something. And so when that gets issued from the National Weather Service, they're saying there's really good conditions for this to happen. So you need to be watchful of that. A warning is this is happening right now. So you're under a tornado warning, you need to seek shelter immediately, or a flood warning, you need to go to high ground or evacuate if possible.
So part of having a family disaster plan is just knowing the difference between these warnings. What should we include when creating our plan, Kayla?
Sure. So, in extension, we like to use acronyms. And so when we talk about making a home disaster plan, if we take those letters, PLAN, this is sort of the format that we follow. And the first part of that is to be able to prepare in advance. And so in the last segment, we talked about ways to get your alerts and warnings. That's your first line of defense. You also don't want to try to make a plan a day before an ice storm is supposed to hit, right? So we want people to make plans in advance and practice those plans. A big part of that plan, the L, is to list your contacts. And so who are you going to contact in the case of a disaster, or where are you going to try to go in the case of a disaster? And this is really important for all ages, but especially if you have children in the home, you want to make sure that you're reviewing that with them and that people actually know phone numbers. So we've kind of gotten away from that in the cell phone age because we're used to hitting a contact. And if I had to tell you all the phone numbers of everybody in my contact list, I could not do that. But if they're on your emergency plan, you need to make sure that you're able to contact them and that your children also know how to contact them and where they live. The A to the plan is to assess your exits. And so you may say, well, I live in a rural community. I'll never be evacuated. Please don't say that. I live in a rural community, and through flooding in Eastern Kentucky, I have been evacuated twice, and I live on a hillside. So knowing where your evacuation routes are around your home and knowing different ways to getting to different locations in your community is really important, because one road might be closed and you not know it, and you have to turn around and go a different direction. And so assessing those exits is really important, and also assessing your exits within the home. So teaching your kids, if we have a fire or something happens in the home, how do we get out of the home safely? And then last but not least, we want you to name your needs. And this is going to be different for every individual and every family. If you do have to evacuate and go to a shelter, make sure that you put in the plan that you're going to a shelter that can meet your needs. And so if you or your child have special medical needs, physical needs, you want to make sure that where you're headed can meet those needs of every individual in your family.
But how can we test our home and family disaster plan?
A great way to test is to actually go through your contact lists, practice calling them. You also want to let these people know, hey, if something happens to me, you're on the list. And you definitely want your children or anyone elderly living with you at home to practice that as well.
For more information, Kayla, where can someone go?
Of course, we have our Cooperative Extension Disaster Preparedness webpage. And also, I would encourage people to check out ready.gov. That is the FEMA issued website. There's all kinds of template plans and things like that on there you can pre-fill and download and have available for you to use at home.
Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.